Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to yet another kart racing video, and this one follows on from the Moses Effect video which came out a few days ago. So the Moses Effect video did rather well, lots of happy viewers, I hope at least. And the races in that video, I finished first, second and first. Those were the heats, and that decides the grid for this race, and this race will decide the grid for the next race, the super final. So this is the heavyweight final, starting on pole position, courtesy of those 3 good results in the heats. And this is the build up to the line. Away we go then for 17 laps of the Rye House circuit from pole position through the long right hand of stadium. And already I've just been overtaken twice. Bobby Trondley into the lead, Joe Holmes on the right hand side, just managing there to keep him on the outside, and therefore keeping second position. So not ideal there to lose a position so early in the race, but as we can see there's 17 laps. It's a fairly lengthy race, so we're looking at perhaps about 15 minutes in total, so we've got plenty of time here to kind of calm down and get on par with Bobby just in front. So we're going to skip again, or not skip but cut to the Alpha live footage, who are linked again in the description below, as they have again provided amazing coverage of these events, and they live stream these events all the time. So Bobby going really wide into the hairpin. You can see how much I gained straight back on him. Could go for a move there. It's always quite a tricky move into that second hairpin. You really do have to be very close and very committed, as it is a very early apex, so you quite often get turned in on. Not unfairly, but you do have to cut it very fine if you're going to go for a move at that corner. So you see just how close it is between the 3 of us at the front of the race. Bobby in the lead, got a back marker there who must have been involved in some sort of accident and is therefore being lapped already, unless they're just really slow, but that's almost certainly not the case. So through stadium, through the first corner, multiple different lines on offer through that corner, as it is quite it's almost a 270-degree corner. So there's lots of interpretations of how to take it. And still on the tail of Bobby, quite an early apex there through the second hairpin. Just looking for that back marker, just wondering, are they going to let us through? Has he seen us? Has he noticed us? There is a blue flag being waved on the left hand side. So cue the Sebastian Vettel blue flag song. Is he going to see us as we come through the final corner? He does have a look over his shoulder there, as I do as well. I think he's seen us. He moves over to the left hand side as we all steam through up the inside. They've got Joe Holmes on the inside now as we come through the apex of the first corner, and it's similar to lap number 1. He's on my side again, and I just managed to slot in back ahead, just about to keep second place. Quite slow off the hairpin is this car, and Joe was actually right on my tail. Ready, Bobby Trondley in the lead, just pulling away slightly. You see on that lap there, just shows you one little incident, and it does begin to create gaps, and Joe's actually into the back of me there, into the corner after pylon, and again Bobby's just getting further and further away at this point. So coming back onto the main straights to complete lap number 4, that's going to be Joe Holmes up the inside, and it wasn't a very strong defence at all. At this point sometimes it's best just to kind of work together to try to bridge the gap. So it looked like I didn't really have the pace at this point, so I thought, okay, maybe you can try to draw that gap down a little bit, and I'll just kind of follow along, essentially. So we can see if we can bridge that gap to Bobby back in the lead. But it looks like Joe is, but I'm not really being able to kind of keep up with him at this point. So lots of questions in the previous video, lots of questions in all the videos, to be honest. One of them mainly being, where can I get where can I start doing this kind of karting? So if you go to club100.co.uk, it's linked in the description. Just give it a go. Anyone can do it, as long as you're above the minimum age. I think it's 16. Then you can give it a go. This is a little bit later in the race. We are coming up to lap 9 now. Actually no, lap number 10. And you see the gap up ahead. So Bobby has been overtaken by Joe, and I just didn't have the speed in this race at all. So I'm dropping off. So the top 2 there, then myself and Jack Bolton now is looking to challenge me for 3rd place. And it's going to be a long defensive race now. So it's very much an attacking one at the start, although from pole position it should be a defensive race ideally from the start. But it turned from then a bit of attacking, but now it's going to be completely a defensive race, just trying to keep third place, because there's no chance really of going for that podium, as I just simply didn't have the speed. I changed my kart at the start of the race, or before the race. You have like a 5-minute practice session. You can change your kart if you think it's not good enough. And I changed it, and then I got this one, and it doesn't seem to be much better. So there is the kart excuse, although I did actually have a look at the lap times afterwards. My kart, it got up to speed quite quickly, but then it just kind of plateaued at a mid 43 second, like a 43.6. Whereas in the earlier races I was able to do 43.1s and 43.2s. So it just definitely wasn't anywhere near as quick as I could probably get a kart to go. But you kind of have to deal with that. It's happened. You've made the mistake of not swapping it, or I have swapped it, but I've got another bad one. So now I just have to simply deal with the problem in front of me, or in this case directly behind, which is Jack Bolton, trying to keep him at bay with 1 lap to go. This is lap 17 of 17. Is he going to be able to steal on the last lap this podium position? It's the hairpin. I'm going to go very defensive, going to the left hand side. Let's go through the apex. He's not quite brave enough to send one from a million miles back into the inside. Doesn't quite go for it. You're going to play it patient for now. Just a couple of corners left into the fast sweeping left of Pylon. This is an overtaking opportunity there into the right. Doesn't go for it. And there's probably just one more chance for him, which is after this left into the final right-hander, and he again doesn't go for it there. So it is eventually going to be a third place, more than 6 seconds away from the lead in the end. So not a good race really. I suppose it's good to get a third. I mean, it's still out of about 26 people, so it could be a lot worse. But it's always disappointing to go backwards from pole position, starting at the front, at the very front, go down to third. And that's going to decide my grid for this race here. So the heavyweights are lined up on the left. So you've got Joe, who won, you've got Bobby just there in front. So Joe's second on the grid here, Bobby fourth. I'm 6th place on the grid. And this is the super final, the big race between the top heavyweights and the top lightweights. And the winner of the whole championship gets a test day with Janetta, so it's a rather big prize. And going into this with high hopes, let's see if we can materialise a good result out of this race. Starting 6th on the grid, on the outside, never ideal around Right House because the first corner is so long to the right, and you're on the outside, which is the left. I've been overtaken already by Ed Bars up the inside again as he kind of gets shoved wide by Bobby Twan. And our carts kind of get stuck together on the apex. We lose tons of momentum. I just managed to keep 5th. You see the gap here. Actually no, I'm in 6th place still, in kart number 6 as I started 6th place. So you can see the gap already opened up there between myself and Bobby up in front. Just really as our cars kind of got stuck together on the exit of the hairpin, the first hairpin, and any small mistake or any small misdemeanor that happens, it creates a big gap, and it takes a long time to kind of reel that back in. So we kind of got the first lap under our belts, and we finished it where we started in 6th place, which is okay. Bobby up the inside of Stephen Hicks there. Hicksy coming back for the return move, but then Bobby still has the inside for this corner, and they're both going to really fight so much they're going to lose tons of momentum. And I'm going to point to Bobby here. He's on the inside, he has the inside line. So I'm just pointing him through, basically saying, let's go and work together, let's not fight too much, because the top 3, you can see already, they've got a massive gap. Just really courtesy of us fighting too much. So let's just calm this down, let's just go. Yeah, he's pointing there, he wants to go. He's had enough of all the fighting. That gap, up against very top drivers as well. You know, you're at the front of the pack here in the final. You're with all the quick guys, it's going to be hard to track them down. Joe goes for a move for the lead, doesn't quite come off as he goes too deep on the brakes. And that kind of is a sign of things to come really. Just the fact that it's very hard to overtake when everyone is so even. It's almost like F1 in some senses, where it just forms into a train and no one can really quite overtake sometimes because it is so even. So we've definitely gained on the group ahead, the top 3. Quite easy to see because of Rob Newman's bright orange helmet there, sitting in 3rd place as we come into turn 1. So that kind of shows you there the gap between the top 3 and then myself and Bobby here sitting in 4th and 5th as we just try to reel in the gap ahead, basically. 14 laps this time, so not quite as long, but still plenty of time to try to get that gap down. So as we said earlier, this super final here has a mini championship, and the winner of all these super finals mini championship gets a Testa Janetta. So we're going to go for that prize, as Bobby is a little bit wide. So that is the main thing we're going for here. But at the same time, just trying to have fun with the karting, trying to make some good videos, and hopefully you have been enjoying the racing. So there's the gap: 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then myself 4th, 5th, and 6th place now. Chris Dixon, right Natal. Chris Alcock, sorry, wrong person, wrong Chris. Chris Alcock and Natal. So a couple of the D-Max drivers, so there's another series called D-Max. That series kind of shut down a little bit, or for temporarily, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but a lot of the D-Max drivers therefore came over to Club 100. But I suppose it suits them really, because D-Max would always use the Rotax engines, Club 100 used to always use TKM, but Club 100 moved over to Rotax engines, so I suppose these D-Max guys are used to using Rotax engines. It does make a difference. You might not think the engine really changes how the kart feels, but it really does actually. The way you've got to drive the kart is actually very different depending on the engine. So through the first corner, and again, you can see the gap up ahead. We are definitely gaining on that group. It's getting closer. It's getting closer and closer. As that group up ahead, you know, it can get very nervy in these groups. As Rob Newman goes for a move, orange helmet, and it doesn't really come off at all. Joe Holmes goes to the front. But what that does do is slows that group down. You can see now it's a train of 6 karts. So with the 5 of us here in a train, plus Chris Alcock behind. So our patience and our wanting to not fight has actually worked. So myself and Bobby in front have actually managed to catch up with that group simply just by working together. And it really is a key element of a lot of these races, that you do have to stop fighting and make sure that you try to work together. So again, there for 2nd place is getting a little bit nervy, and I think they're Pietro in 2nd in the white helmet. A couple of nervy corners, and that's letting Joe Holmes get a massive lead now. And by massive I mean about half a second, but that's big enough just to make sure that the cars behind about overtaking range. Jack Bolton there getting sent to the Shadow Realm. So he was the driver who was behind us in the first race and finished 4th. Gave us some pressure, but unlucky on this occasion. Not sure exactly what happened there, but it looks like he's going to have to retire from the race. So it looks like I've used up all of my Moses effects in the heats video, and I've got none left unless I can unleash some. If the man upstairs unleashes a bit of Moses for me right now, that'd be absolutely stellar. I'd love that, but it's going to be very difficult, I think, at this point here. So the next round, people are looking forward to the next round already. People are asking when is the next race. That is at Lid in about a week's time, so not too far away. And I've got a big surprise in terms of who I'm racing with. So that is something hopefully to very much look forward to on the channel. Got that coming very soon. Yeah, so Lid, very, very fast circuit. I mean, Rye's probably one of the slower circuits on the calendar because it has got a lot of very tight corners. Stadium corner, which has gone through there, very fast corner indeed. But the hairpins do bring down that average speed quite a lot. But Lid is one of the very fast circuits on the calendar, and very much looking forward to racing around there. So do look out for that very soon on the channel. And this is lap 11, and it's settled down. This race really settled down. It's very, very limited in terms of overtaking opportunities. There weren't many at all because we formed into that train, as you can see, and then it was very difficult to really go for anything because we weren't quite on each other's tails, but everyone had a bit of a gap. So every move that you possibly go for would have always been a bit of a suicidal lunge of death, and it probably wouldn't have worked out. And every time you got to make a move. Every time you make a move, it has to be. You need to make it a good move, because if you make a rubbish move, you're going to lose half a second, and it might take you 5 laps to gain back half a second, and there's just not enough laps. So you have to get your moves dead right. You can't afford to mess them up. As Rob Newman in orange helmet goes for a move into that second chicane, second hairpin, and you see the result of that, which means that he's basically under pressure from Bobby in front of me. So one false move, you get it wrong, and you're on the defensive instead of on the offensive. So things can can change very quickly, depending on exactly how well you perform an overtake. Which is probably why I haven't really gone for it. The main reason really is coming into this hairpin, so going through turn 1, through the left of turn 2, into this hairpin here. Bobby was always a kart length ahead, and he was always really late on the brakes. I'll never quite go for it, and that's the best overtaking opportunity on the lap. It's the easiest place to go for a move. It's the biggest braking zone from the highest speed, which almost is always the best overtaking opportunity on most tracks. The highest speed into the slowest corner or the tightest corner quite often results in the best overtaking, but on this occasion I wasn't able to go for a move, and in turn the guy behind me wasn't able to go for a move on me. He's been right behind the whole time, hasn't quite been able to go for it, but it is the final lap now, so running out of time to go for anything. So if I can't go for a move, I have to make sure that the guy behind can't go for one of me. It is a very close race, very much a stalemate. Very close on the exit there, but not quite close enough to go for a move here. It seemed like the acceleration wasn't quite good enough in the middle phase. As we've gone through pylon, people looking over their shoulders a lot more as we enter the final stage of the race. And as we come through with 2 corners to go, it's going to be a 5th place. We went up 1 position in what was very much a very difficult race to make progress in. But we're going to have to settle for a 5th place in the end. It was a good race. It was a very tight battle, and you had to be perfect, and you couldn't really afford to make any mistakes. That was the good thing about it. It was very much a test of your ability to not make any mistakes. But there we go. I do hope you've enjoyed this one as always. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions, then please do comment down below. Do check out Alpha Live, who posted or recorded and posted the exterior footage, and club100.co.uk, which is this series that I'm racing. But that is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice day. I'll see you in the next video. See you there. Goodbye. All race, mate.
Cheers, mate.
I was behind. I couldn't quite get close enough.
It's just my bottom end was wank.
Yeah, you were good into the hairpin. You were really late on the brakes.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really ever go for it.
Yeah, it was a good race though.
It was a good race, yeah. We're just hoping they would fight a little bit more.
Yeah, I was. I just didn't have the pace in the car.
No, I was kind of the same as you. Make sure you return your transponder, guys.